Right. So laboratory exercise 6 is about to be uploaded, right? So I'll upload that today. I couldn't do that on Wednesday actually. So today I will upload this, and then I will open a new link to upload lab exercise 5, because some of the students couldn't upload lab exercise 5. So I'll give another chance to upload. So who couldn't upload because of the problems of the system. So I'll give you a new link, right? So if you have uploaded, exercise 5, if you have uploaded it, so then you don't have to submit it again, right? Only for the students who couldn't submit, right? So I'll upload, I will create a link for exercise 5 and exercise 6 today. Right. So in exercise 6, that's, the problem is not something new. No, so this is not exercise 6 actually. I don't remember. It's maybe 4. Yeah, it is 4. So it is based on lab exercise 4. Lab exercise 4. So I asked you to create functions of ATM, right? In that case, like you in the ATM, so you can do these functions like a deposit, withdraw, check balance, and then you have to select one of these options, and then the user has to select one of these options, and then so based on that, if deposit is selected, so then deposit amount has to be entered, right? And then and so on, right? They add the amount to the balance and so on, right? Like it was you have already done and then uploaded, right? In exercise 6, what I want is to rewrite the same program using different functions, at least 3 functions, right? 3 functions for deposit, withdraw, and balance, right? So I have given the exercise 4 question again here, right? So you don't have to look into exercise 4 again. It is given here, right? Okay. So that's the first question. So you have to rewrite the program using at least 3 functions. Okay. Question 2. So there are 3 questions actually. Question 2, write a C program to get the temperature in Celsius. as a user input. So that means you should ask to enter temperature in Celsius. And then, so you have to write a function to convert it to Fahrenheit. There's a question. Yeah, so if there's any problem with your assignment 5 or the exercise 5, if there's any problem with the uploaded file, please upload it again into the new link that I'm sharing today. Right. Okay, so here, if I go back to the question 2 again, get the temperature in Celsius and convert it into Fahrenheit. So you have to write a function to convert Celsius into Fahrenheit. And then add another function to do the opposite. So that means Fahrenheit to Celsius. You have to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius. So then extend the program to get user choice Fahrenheit or Celsius. Right. So first you have to get whether user wants to input the temperature in Fahrenheit or Celsius. That choice has to be taken first. And then you can ask to enter the temperature. So now, based on the user's choice, you have to choose which function to be called, like Fahrenheit to Celsius or Celsius to Fahrenheit. Right. So I have given this as like steps, right? Step by step progress of the program. But what I want from you is just the final version. Write all these functions and then the instructions, and then finally just upload the final version of the program, right? And then the third one, write a C program to create a simple calculator. So first it will prompt the user to choose the operation choice. So there are several operations like add, subtract, multiply, divide, modulus. So enter your choice. And then, so you have to enter. So give me just one minute. Sorry. Sorry for the interruption. So this is regarding your examinations. So that's why I had to take that call. Yes, okay. That's settled. So we are making timetables and everything for your examinations these days, right? So still, we don't know whether it is physical or online. So based on the situation, it will be decided, right? Right. So I was explaining about the calculator, right? So there are 5 choices of calculations, 5 choices of calculations, and then user can enter 2 numbers, and then the result can be displayed. Right. Actually, so the half of this program is already in our examples in lecture notes. So there's a question from okay. So there's a question, is it okay to add additional functions to the program in the assignment, or only the functions mentioned in the assignment? No, you can add any number of functions, no problem. So for example, here, using at least 3 functions. So it could be more than 3, right? Even for this one, if you think, if it is necessary, then you can add more functions, no problem. Even in this case, if you want, yeah. So go for more functions, right? So one thing, so I will give some hints on these exercises regarding the assignments. So I have several things to mention actually. Number 1, right? When you are uploading the file format, right? File formats, that's very important. Or the file format and the name, naming conventions. So when you are naming the file, right? So here I have given actually instruction. So so there are 3 programs here. 3 programs, right? So in that case, so let me show you. So let me, so just give me 1 minute. So I'm trying to open it. So I'll come back to the questions again, but first I'll explain so how to do the submission, right? Right. So, so usually you save your programs. So usually in one folder, right? So this is the folder that I'm saving all the project files, the projects that I'm doing on CodelBox, right? Okay, so here, suppose, so this is one project. So there you can find main.c or any other file that you are using, right? So the best thing that you could do is copy this file into a new folder, right? Right. So this folder, name that folder with your index number, right? So I have given the instructions here. Create a zip file with all source files, .c files, rename the zip file with your index number and the lab exercise number as follows, right? Like this. So if you name that folder with that name, your index number underscore lab 6, right? All lowercase, all simple, then lab 6. Right? So put your files there, like for example, put your file there. Now, all the files, so most of the files should be main.c, right? So in that case, one thing you can do is you can rename them. Question1.c, right? The other file, so you can take, you can copy that and then rename it. So likewise, you can add all your files into the folder, and then you can create what's the zip file, right? So, so I'm using this See, you have to upload this file, right? So that's the best way, right? So that's the best thing that you can do. But the naming convention should be there. If you don't follow these naming conventions, marks would be reduced, right? Use these naming conventions. So if you write the programs on papers, right? So you can write your programs on papers. So take photos of written answers and make a single PDF file with your index number. And the lab exercise number as follows. Right? You can create one PDF. So there's another way, like you can put all your photos in one folder, and then you can name that folder with this naming convention and zip that folder. That's also possible, right? That's also possible. Somehow, when we are downloading your files, so your index number and the lab exercise number should be there, right? Like this. That's very important because sometimes it's very difficult to find whose work is this, because we are downloading all your files at once, right? Not just one by one. We don't check one by one on LMS. So we are downloading them. So after downloading, sometimes it's difficult to find whose file is this. Sometimes you have your name, but we don't have your name. We have your index number, right? So those problems are there, right? So always follow this naming convention from now on, for lab 6. If possible, for lab 5, if you haven't downloaded, uploaded lab exercise 5. Right, okay. So that's important. So follow the naming convention as it is. All letters are lowercase. Between index number and lab exercise number, use underscore. Not hyphen or anything, just underscore. Okay. Right. So there's a question regarding. All right. Okay. Right. So this program, this is a calculator. This program should run infinite number of times until we stop the execution. So that means, like this program is running without end, right? So once this is given, and then enter your choice, I enter my choice, and then I enter 2 numbers, and then the results would be given. So again, it will ask, it will give the menu, and then enter your choice. Right. So then again, I can enter my choice, right? And then based on that, I can enter 2 numbers, and then result is given. Again, it will display these and ask to it. Like it will be executing, running infinite now. I mean, in a loop. So file format .c only or text file also accept. Text file is also accept, but if it is a C code, I recommend you to use .c file extension. right? Text file is also fine. I mean, we have to just check the what you have done, your program. So if it is there, so that's fine. So there's another question. What if we have only one .c file? Do we need to zip that file and submit, or rename the C file and submit? If you have just one C file, then again, I recommend you to zip it anyway. Like even it's one file, so zip that. Right? So that's recommended. That's easier for on our side. That would be easier, right? Because I mean, students are not. So mostly students are not thinking how these assignments are marked, how they are downloaded. Like we don't download one by one. Like we download all the files together as a bundle. So then, like LMS automatically create folders and then download. So in like if you haven't named your files properly, so then sometimes it will be so there's a confusion that whose file is this. Sometimes your names are there, but sometimes we cannot see the index number. So that's the problem. Okay, right. So let's today I'm not going to have a long session. Like most probably I'll finish before 12. Right, so you can. I don't know whether you have other lectures in the afternoon. So then you can enjoy the New Year vibes so earlier, right? If you don't have other lectures. So anyway, like today, I will give some hints. So for example, this one, right? In ATM, so we have deposit. Start code blocks. So this is 6. Yeah, 6. Okay. So here, first you have to print this, right? And then maybe we can put some something like this. Okay, so Hasun has sent his C file. So let me run that. Okay, so Hasun, right? So you sent, yeah, Hasun. So Hasun sent his previous ATM program. Right, so it is a, I mean, by looking at that, yeah, so it is a, like there are comments, right? So I can see all the information here, and then actually, like he has already done the thing, right? So, okay, so now I'm not going to show that to you. But it seems okay. So I'll give my comments later, right? Seems okay. So if you have already done that in a previous one, so you can use the same for this, right? So you can upload what you have done for the exercise 4. Exercise 4 එකේදී මේ functions දාලා නම් ලියලා තියෙන්නේ ඒ program එකම මේකට upload කරන්න ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. No problem. You don't have to write a new program. Right? Okay. So then like I'll continue this one. So select one of the options, right? So these things, huh? You can write in just one printf function, but here writing it so this is not the only way. You can choose your format, like when you are printing, and then printf. Let's go to the next one. Another printf, so I'll put this one. Right. Okay. Then I will so I will just use integer variable here, choice. Then scanf choice. So we take it as an. So now what we let's check. Here. Okay. So you can use switch if you want, or you can use else if else if statements. So if I'm using switch, right? There are three cases. Case one, so I'm adding break. Case two, adding break. Case three, again I'm adding break. So give me keys. Sorry for the interruption again, because so these days there are a lot of things like finalizing exams and all the things. Today is the last day of the month and the year, so that's why I'm taking a lot of. I'm having a lot of calls. So the all are from the faculty. Yeah? So right. Okay, so now here, if it is choice one, here I'm going to call the function. To call the function, I need to add the function there. So let's put void function, right? Deposit. deposit, void deposit. We can call this function. So you can write the deposit related function things here. If you use a select deposit, the things that you do, so those things could be included in this function. So likewise, you can write balance check and withdraw. So that is what you have to do. Very, very simple. You don't have to follow this as it is. You can check, like you can change it as you wish. No worries, right? So you can change it, and then if you want to add more functions, that's fine, right? Again, so give me just 1 minute. All right, okay. So so that's it, right? So this for deposit and for withdrawal, so you can write separate functions. So that's all, right? Then if we go to the next, and one thing. Okay, so I'll just printf. For now, I'll just print a deposit, right? So likewise, so I can print withdraw. Likewise, so මම නිකමට නිකන් මේ deposit කියලා විතරක් මෙතන print කරනවා. හරි. ඒ නිකන් ඔකට පෙන්නන්න ඕනේ. ඉතින් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඇත්තට මෙතනදී ඒ හරියට මෙතන එක ඇතුලේ ලියන්න. හරි. withdraw එකේ ඒ විදිහටම මේ මම මේ දෙක විතරක් දැනට දාන්නම් හොම්, right? Okay, so if I run the program, those mistakes are there, right? So if my choice is 1, deposit, right? So then my choice is 2, which, right? Okay, so now program is working. So there's a question. I haven't mentioned the exercise number in the last assignment. Yeah, last assignment, if you haven't done that, so that's now, it's fine. But from this assignment, assignment 6, so you have to follow that naming convention. Huh? Okay, so yeah, now the program is working. The one thing I can do additional, so something additional here, right? So what is that? I can run this program infinite, right? So once this program is executed, right? So now it is the execution has been terminated. One time it is finished. So if I want to continuously execute this program, I can do something. I can run this program, like execute this part in a loop. I can put this part into a loop, right? Let's put them in a while loop. Right. So in C programming, indentation is not a problem, huh? Right? Like you can keep that program like in the same, like without shifting them, you can keep that, right? But here, for the clarity, so I will add the tab there. Like now it is clear, right? For the clarity, yeah. But in Python, so if you do that, there would be errors, right? Okay. So now I have a while loop. So the condition, right? So condition here, if it is infinite, so you can put just one. One means always true. As I told you in C language, we don't have true or false. So we are using 1 for true, 0 for false. So while true, so always true. So that means this is executing infinite. Likewise, okay. So again, it asks. Right. Here, it's better. Right. We proceed. Again, it'll ask the same, and then we can give a choice. Right. If we give different choice, nothing would happen, right? Likewise, it will execute infinitely until we stop the program. So case 3, and then we can add default. Any other cases? You can print invalid into something, right? Right. So you can don't forget to add comments, right? Right. So on top of the program, if you can add your index number and everything, that would be great. Your name and index number. Name and index number. There. Right. And then the lab exercise. Six. And then so whatever the other things. So you should go to add question 1 or something. If you are doing your questions in different files. And then like add the comments properly, right? Infinite loop. So likewise, I mean, appropriate comments, right, would be essential, no? Those are essential. So if you have done that, so then actually you will get 2 additional marks, right? For the clarity and for the quality of the program, so we'll give marks. And the other thing is, so regarding assignments, so I told you number 1 is file formatting. From this week on, the file format and the naming. So naming convention is you have to follow that, thoroughly follow. Number 2, so there's another thing, right? Like in the previous assignments or exercises, the first few exercises, so I could see many unique answers, but when it comes to the later exercises like 3, 4, 5, I can see many copies, right? So you copy from someone and then you submit it, right? Copy. We notice that, right? So we like when we check, when we mark the exercises, we see that, right? If we see such copies, we don't give full marks. Suppose, so you have written a program and then by yourself, like by your own, you have written a program. Then you give it to your friend, right? So now he is uploading the same program, right? Changing only the index number and all, then upload that. But when we see that, we can see, this is the same program. So we reduce marks from both, right? That's happening, right? So don't do this, because I expect you to write your programs by yourself. Because if you don't do that now, because I'm going to give you in a few weeks, I'm going to give you practical exam. It's going to be the mid-semester examination for you. So all these exercises and other assignments, marks would be added into your final grading, right? So if you got low marks, so then your final grading would be lower, right? So keep that in mind. So don't copy that, right? So you can ask from your friend. You can ask. So how to do that? Then, so if there's a problem, you can ask from your friends, and you can ask from me. So you may have a student group, so you can ask in that group, right? So somehow you can get help, but when you write the program, you have to write your own program, right? Otherwise, your friend would be good in programming. You will be ended up in like becoming bad in programming, and then you may have to suffer all these 4 years, because like even you do networking, you do multimedia, definitely in software, so you'll have to write programs. If you are an ICT student, you have to write programs. So that's it, right? So don't copy, right? So that's one thing I noticed, right? It could be worse in future, so that's why I am warning you now, right? Okay, so this is how you can do the program. Okay, so the next one. Okay, number 2. Write a C program to get the temperature in Celsius and convert it into Fahrenheit, right? So if I write the program here. Temperature. So let's have this variable, and then I'm going to write 2 functions. So I will remove this one. Enter temperature. So in a few weeks, like in maybe in 2 weeks to 3 weeks maximum. So I'll give a practical exam, right? So you have to write a program, and then you have to upload it. Temperature, and then scanf. I'm not going to write the whole program, but I'll give some directions. scanf, you can take as an integer and then ampersand temp. We are taking the user input value into temperature, right? Then, so I want to convert into temperature in Celsius. In Celsius. Okay. So if I want to convert it into Fahrenheit, so I'm going to write a function, right? So this is temperature. So as an integer, sometimes so it would limit the value. So let's go with double or float, so whatever, or double. Right. So I'll go with double. And then, so if it is double, this has to be double or float, doesn't matter, right? Okay. Then, so I'm writing a function. The function name is to Fahrenheit. To Fahrenheit. That's the name of the. So see, how I name that method. Simple, starting with the simple letter, and then in the word break, so I use F. So this is called camel case. Camel case, right? Camel. So in camel, Ottawa, right? So the the shape of the camel is something like this. So the middle of that camel's the body is bigger, right? Like that, something like this, right? So that's why it is called camel. So we're starting with 2 Fahrenheit. Like something like this. So that's why it is called camel case. So I'm using camel case. It's not a rule, but it is a convention. But in some cases, you can use underscore. Right? To underscore Fahrenheit. That's also fine. And if you use all simple or all lowercase, it is also fine. But sometimes when we read it, it's difficult, bit difficult. Huh? That's why use camel case. So whatever the case that you. So here we need input. It has to be same as the temperature that we are. The type has to be the same, right? So we can use the same variable name. Now you know that if it is a function, right? If it is a function, this temp and this temp are in two different functions. So those are not related. Those are not related. Two different things. Gam dekaka inna chandi denne ekama name. So now you know that, right? Last week on Friday, so on Wednesday we discussed that. Okay. So then, what is the return type? In a return type, I would go with double, because when we convert it into Fahrenheit, it would be, so there would be decimal points. දශමතිය තියෙන්න පුළුවන් අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම තියෙනවා. So because of that, so I'm using double. Right? Then you can convert. So I don't know, you find the way. So the conversion. You can find it, you can Google it, how to convert Fahrenheit to Celsius and Celsius to Fahrenheit. So the temperature, you can use that this value, and then so this one, and whatever the calculation can be done, right, to this one. And then you can just define variable temp in Fahrenheit or any name, and then you can do the calculation and assign the value to this one, and then finally you can return this one. Or you can directly return the whatever the calculation here, whatever the calculation goes here, right, with them, and then you can return the result. Right, so likewise, to Fahrenheit, to Celsius, again you can write a similar function. Okay, right. So there's a question. Can you explain again a bit about what's happening in using void or int return type in functions, right? So void or any other type. So here I have used double return. So that means, so if I'm using any return type, the meaning is that this function, right, this function is returning. When this function is called, where this function is called, right, for example, this function is called here. So I'm giving this argument, temp variable value as the argument, right? Temp variable as the argument. يعني මෙතන මේ temp කියන variable එකේ තියෙන value එක තමයි මෙතනදී මම දෙන්නේ. ඒතර A value එක copy කරනවා මෙන්න මේ function එකේ තියෙන temp variable. මේකේ තියෙන value එක මේකට copy කරනවා. Right? So that's what happening there, right? Okay, so I call the function here, right? If this function is returning double, so that means where this function is called, right? So then it will go back to this function and execute that, and then it will come back here. Come back to this place with the value. With the value, the type of that value is given as in this, in return type. කියන්නේ දැන් මේ ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක කෝල් කරාට පස්සේ ඒ වෙලාවෙම මෙතන මේ මේන් එකේදී ඒ ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක එක්සිකියුට් වෙන එක නතර වෙනවා. නතර වෙලා එයා යනවා මේ ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකට. මේ ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක එක්සිකියුට් වෙනවා. ෆන්ක්ෂන් එක එක්සිකියුට් වෙලා ආපහු මෙතෙන්ට එන්නේ ඒ එක්සිකියුට් වෙලා මොකක් හරි වැලියු එකකුත් අරගෙන එන්නේ මෙතන මේ රිටර්න් ටයිප් එකක් මොකක් හරි තියෙනවා. ඒ ටයිප් එකේ වැලියු එකක් අරගෙන එන්නේ. right එනර මේ කවුරු හරි දැන් ඔරුවක ඉඳන් මාළු අල්ලනවා නෑ ගඟක ගිහිල්ලා මේ එයා වතුරට පැනලා ඔහම ගිහිල්ලා ආපහු ගොඩ එනවා. ගොඩ එන්නෙත් මෙතනින්ම මේ බෝට්ටුව තියෙන තැන තමයි එන්නේ. එතකොට එයා එන්නේ මාළුවෙක් අරගෙන. මොන වර්ගයේ මාළුවෙක්ද කියන එක තමයි ටයිප් එකකින් දෙන්නේ. right? If suppose a person is in a boat and then he jumped into the water and he dived into the water and come back with a fish. Right? So this is the return, right? He comes back with a fish. What type of fish? It could be different types, right? So that type is given here. මොන වර්ගයේ මාළුවෙක්ද කියලා තමයි මෙතනදී කියන්නේ. අරගෙන එන්නේ. Right? Sometimes he may come with empty hand. සමහර මනුස්සයා මොකුත්ම නැතුව නිකම්ම එන්නේ. අන්න ඒ එන එක තමයි void කිව්වහම මොකුත් නැතුව හිස් අතින් තමයි එන්නේ. ගිහිල්ලා හිස් අතින් තමයි. But in this case, like, I mean, how we decide the return type? Return type is decided based on our requirement. For example, here I want to convert the temperature into Fahrenheit. Then after converting, I need that converted value. The converted value, I know it could be in double. So that's why I am returning a double value. So we put that void or double O in based on our requirement, based on the requirement of the function. So there's a question. ඒ කියන්නේ ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකේ රිටර්න් එකේ දෙන වේරියබල් එකේ වැලියු එක තමා කෝල් කරන තැනට අරන් එන්නේ. ඔව් එහෙම තමයි. So we give return, so whatever, it could be a variable, or any value. Suppose return 0, so it will return that value. මොකක් හරි variable එකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්, value එකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්, මොකක් හරි ඒ direct value එකක් දෙන්න පුළුවන්, variable එකක් දෙන්න. variable එකක් දුන්නොත් ඒකේ value එක. එහෙම නැත්නම් මෙතන මොකක් හරි calculation එකක් දුන්නොත් ඒකේ result එක. මොකක් හරි ඒක තමයි මෙතෙන්ට අරගෙන ඉන්නේ. ඔබ නිවැරදි. හරි. Dinusha, you are right? Or Dinusha. Can there be functions without parameters, but with return value? Can there be functions without parameters, but with return value? Of course, yes. So again, it depends on the requirement, right? It depends on the requirement. There could be functions like this. We have return value, but no inputs. We don't need inputs, right? It is possible, but in this case, we need the temperature in Celsius as input. But there could be functions like that without input. Sometimes the functions would be no return types. Void function name, function, whatever the name, function X, okay, whatever. And then empty here. So that means no return value, no inputs, right? But we can do something. We can print, we can do like some things. There's something to be executed, but no inputs and no return values. Okay. Right, so that's all actually. Right, today, so I'm not going to discuss more. So here, all these programs, you can run them infinite. So that's fine. So you can add that. If you add that, so no problem. So it is okay. And then number 3. So A is not necessary here, right? So maybe I had the plan to extend that, but no need, right? A කියලා එකක් මේකට ඕනේ නැහැ. මේ එකම ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ. එකම ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ. So this one you should run infinite number of times. So this should run infinite number. But others, if you do that, that's also fine. But you don't have to do that. Yeah. Okay. So. I mean, writing these programs would be not very difficult, right? But you have to follow the systematic approach and then try to make your program a quality program, right? Add comments and write it in an order and so on. Okay, so that's it. Okay, I will upload this and then I will upload. I will make a new link to upload the previous exercise for the students who couldn't upload them. Right, so that's all. That's all. And so maybe next week. So I will have a progress review meeting with each of the so each group to discuss the status of the projects. So next week, so I'll give you the time, date and the time. So most probably on Friday afternoon and then Saturday morning. Right. Okay, so that's all. Any questions? Any other questions? Anything to be clarified? There's a question. පහළට scroll වෙන්නේ නැතුව CMD එකේ එකම location එකේ print කරන්න පුළුවන්. I mean, usually it is not possible. Right? So it is something with the CMD, right? Like we are just printing there. But there could be some ways automatically, I mean, we can do that using commands, but there could be some ways, but I'll check that. But I'm not sure whether it is possible. So what does you mean by like so what does he mean by that? Like so in CMD, so those programs, I will remove this one. So after this one, it will be deleted and a new outputs or the new things that are to be displayed would be displayed here again without scrolling down. So whether that's possible. So as I know, it is not possible. I never tried that, but let's see. Yeah. System. Let's see. Yeah. Yes, you can try that. So Vinura is mentioning this. Okay, so everyone can see that this library. So there's a system.cls. Yeah, so that function is there. Whether you can do that. Clear the CMD script, right? Yeah, it could work. I haven't used that, not recently, but yeah, it is. You can try that. You can try that and check. Thank you, Vinod, right, for measuring that. Any other questions? Anything else? So if no questions, so we can conclude the session. And thank you for joining. Again, as I told you, attitude is the everything. So don't change this, right? So that's why I have given you projects. Even so, most of you are not having experience on doing software projects, programming projects. Still, I have given that. So then, like you should have that attitude. Like even we don't know this, so but we can try, right? So then work hard and then dedication. So those things should be there. So as a IIT graduate, you should have those attitudes. So again, I'm telling you, attitude is everything. Right. Okay. So thank you for joining, and I wish you all a happy New Year. And so we'll be meeting in the New Year next year. So I hope it will be very productive and for your studies, your programming, and your projects. So let's do this, right? So have good attitudes, always have good attitudes. So don't change actually, right? So that's what I told you. Like I'm seeing good things in your batch. So that's what that's why I'm telling it again and again. Don't change that, right? Improve that, improve those things, right? Then you have a good future. I'm pretty sure about that. Okay, so happy New Year, and so enjoy the weekend, and let's meet on Wednesday.